For justice and peace and equality. For the world they
Game
will
Changers
see.
Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. We're back with another episode with former president of the Henry County Democratic Party, Mr. Mike Burns. How you doing today, Mr. Burns?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you.
We are in perilous times. We are in a time in America where things are shifting. Tell us where we're going as a country.
Well, I mean, the line is getting blurred between the three branches of government
Okay.
with respect to who actually is in charge.
Okay.
The executive branch feels as though they don't have to pay attention to the legislative branch or the judicial branch.
Right.
The founders set this up with a three-legged sharing of power for a reason, so that no one branch took dominance over the other, and that the voices of the people were heard, and there was a check on the division and the execution of power. Those lines are being blurred. This is all a part of Project 2025. It was
Okay.
the intention to do that. It was the intention to, they were very clear. They wanted to run the federal agencies the way that they wanted to run it.
Right.
They wanted to take away certain things, Department of Education, certain federal agencies, they wanted to eliminate
Okay.
because they didn't agree with what they represented.
Right.
They wanted to get rid of, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this in a country where it's the only country, one of the few countries on earth where you don't have to be born here to become a citizen.
Wow. Wow.
The power of this country is in its diversity, not in its straight-laced approach.
Okay.
So many good things have happened from people from all over the world because they've come here and shared their strength and knowledge and power and skills to make this country what it is.
Okay.
We are who we are because of our diversity.
Wow.
So how can you ignore that when that is, at the end of the day, what makes this the strength
Right.
of the United States? That's why it has been in position that it's been, because of its diversity.
Awesome. Now, we just came off the local election for multiple cities across Georgia. We saw a huge dynamic change. We saw a huge shift in several different cities. We saw some things remain the same. Where are we at with, voters? What direction are we going in as a party, Democratic Party? I know you said something about the youth and things of that nature, but where are we going? Because I saw a parallel where nonpartisan relationships, nonpartisan races seem to turn into red versus blue. Tell us where are we at?
Well, that's always going to be the case. I mean, your mayoral races are nonpartisan, but people know based on their position on the issues
Okay.
which side of the political divide they're on. So it becomes fairly obvious who leans one way and who leans the other way.
Okay.
But it's time for youth to be served. I've talked about that before.
And what does that mean? What does that mean?
I am a senior citizen.
Right, okay.
A proud senior citizen. I wouldn't give back not one day of my years.
Okay.
But
Okay.
the issues that imperil this planet belong to the youth. Climate change is their issue.
Okay.
And climate change is the greatest slow-moving disaster in the history of the planet.
Okay.
That is an issue that young people understand, and they need to be in a position to be able to address, because it is a sea change in a lot of things. How we live our lives, how our societies move, how we act as a people. It's a real change in how we live to be able to mitigate the impact of climate change. That's not going to come from seniors who have lived, X number of years. They're set in their ways. They know what they like. They know what they do, and they don't want to change. And I'm not saying that's a negative.
Right.
But, in order to affect that change, you need to have people who understand the urgency for that change, and that's coming from the youth. So when I say youth should be served, my generation needs to become counselors and and serve to provide guidance.
Correct.
And let them begin to take the reins of power. And the people have told me, well, they'll make mistakes. I said, like we did when we were young.
Right.
You know, it's okay. But they have the advantage of having lived with computers and cell phones, which we didn't have when I was a kid, and they've had access to all the knowledge of the world in here. So they are smarter, they are more capable, they're more knowledgeable than my generation was when we were their age.
Okay.
I trust their ability to bring the energy to these issues to try to make a difference.
Okay.
We need to, that doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play.
Right.
But our role should be as advisors and to provide guidance, to let people know where they're at and what we think the methodology should be used to move forward. But at the end of the day, let them begin to take charge and make decisions. I mean, when you listen to the gentleman that's the mayor-elect in New York City, when he said in his acceptance speech, I have one message for the president, turn up the volume. I mean, that's what needs to be said, because power unchecked is power elite, is power ultimate. You can't allow people to totally dominate in a country that, you know, is based on, it's a Republican form of government, but it's based on democratic principles. That doesn't exist if there's not checks and balances.
Right.
A young man like that exists to provide checks and balances, to say, well, no, it's not just your opinion and it's not just your way of thinking.
Right. The youth are operating in a sense of not being afraid warriors. They're operating in a sense, we just had young mayor-elect right here in Stockbridge, Georgia, Jaden Williams, who, I mean, I think he shocked the world. He was all over the news outlets. I mean, his story went viral. I'm talking about on every news channel you can think of.
Right.
And then you have Adrian Conisary running for Georgia Secretary of State, 25 years old. What do you think is happening with are they waking up? Are they saying, we're not waiting for you? We're not, like, what are they saying in their minds? Why the rise of the youth right at this moment?
Well, the youth are more perceptive than people give them credit for. I mean, the reason that the mayor-elect in New York won is because 80% of the kids between 18 to 30 voted. They're starting to understand, we have numbers.
Yeah.
You guys only show up 45, 50% of the time. We're going to show up 80, 90% of the time, and we're going to win. Correct. And they understand that. They understand the power of their numbers, and they have finally decided we have the ability to influence these outcomes, and we're going to do that. And that is a good thing.
And that's an awesome thing.
Absolutely.
That's
I mean,
an awesome thing.
You know, in my youth, it was a Vietnam War. Well, all that changed because young people protested. You know, Martin Luther King, you know, headed the civil rights movement, which, you know, outside of what Gandhi did in India, was probably one of the greatest nonviolent movements on earth. He won the Peace Prize. I think he was, 37, 36? So, I mean, the energy and the spirit that youth bring to these issues is incalculable. And we are the beneficiaries of giving them the opportunity to bring that energy and to bring that fire and to bring that spirit to these challenges and to move these issues forward. We have done a great job moving things forward, but it is time for someone else to step in and start to gather the reins, and with taking advantage of good guidance and advice, begin to start to move the needle in the direction that it needs to be moved in.
How do we do that? Because we're dealing with a generation, our older generation. We're dealing with the sandwich generation that's raising the generation of the next generation leaders of today. And a lot of times, it will culturally, systematically, we've had setbacks in passing the torch to the next generation. And what does passing the torch look like? Does it look like just supporting them and counseling them? are we setting up a financial wave of wealth for the next generation, for the next generation leaders of today? What are the elders, the seniors doing? Are they? We understand council. We want to know the this and that. But what type of economic wealth are the elders setting in place to make this thing, go for the next generation?
Well, they need to open those doors that have traditionally been difficult to access.
Okay.
And in addition to that, we need youth to understand it is not just the avenues that our generation pursued to get access to the resources. This all comes down to what I talk about in my nonprofit.
Okay.
That we have to stop looking at black, white, indigenous, Hispanic, Jewish, Democrat, Republican.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's all about people.
Right.
At the end of the day, we have so much more in common than we have opposite. So the young people, we need to get the young people to understand we can share what we know, but you need to step outside of our traditional areas and go to other places to get those resources. There are people in Asia that are willing to commit millions and millions of dollars to supporting climate change. Our young people may or may not even know about that because they haven't been made aware of that. We need to make sure that those doors are open and that they know that. There are young people in China that should be working with young people in the United States, who should be working with young people in South America, who should be working with young people in Canada to figure out, to combine their power and strength. See, they have the opportunity to come together in a way that we have never done. And if they come together, they will eclipse what we were able to do resource-wise, because they will realize that between all of us, we have all the resources we need. The analogy I like to use is the young people are starting to realize I don't have to fix a whole Thanksgiving dinner. I just need to talk to my friends, and I'll bring the turkey, and you bring the ham, and you bring the macaroni, and you bring the sweet potato pie, and you bring the green beans. Guess what? We all have Thanksgiving dinner, but we didn't all have to pay for the dinner because we all came together and shared what we have.
Correct.
That's where the power and the strength is. And my generation, not so much. We tended to focus on our cultural or ethnic group, empowering them. Young people should come together to take a look at how do we all come together as humans and share our knowledge and resources. And when they do that, they will have access to more resources and power than anyone. They are starting to understand we are not bystanders.
Yes,
we are participants in this, and we have the opportunity to make a difference, and they can do that. But they'll do it in a way that has never been done in the history of this planet, because all these kids from different cultures and backgrounds have the opportunity to come together. We had talked about that before. I had said that we tend to focus on the things we have different and not the things we have in common.
Right.
So if I told you, how many people care about having access to food? Everybody's okay with that.
Right.
Access to shelter. Everybody's okay with that.
The
ability to take care of your family and children to make sure that they're okay. Everybody cares about that. The ability to be safe. Access to clean air, clean water. The ability to earn a living and however I want to earn a living.
Right.
Access to some type of health care or health services, so when I'm sick, I can be taken care of. That's 8 things that I just listed. Everybody agrees with.
Everybody definitely agrees with.
But we all argue about them other 2 on the list of 10. When we should be focusing on the 8 we agree on. Young people are starting to understand we have the ability to focus on those 8 and come together as a group to be able to make a difference. And I work with young people. I work with colleges and universities all over the country. And I've had white kids from New York help African Americans in Mississippi. I've had the University of Florida design housing for indigenous people in Alaska. I've had a professor from the University of California in Davis explains to some people in the Bahamas
Okay.
about the wealth of their natural resources in a way that they never really understood it.
Right.
That's where the power is at.
That's where the
power is at, is when everybody drops those barriers and say, we're all humans sharing this planet together.
Right.
And the young people, because of their access to technology, are starting to understand that, are starting to realize their power, and I think they're going to step up to the plate and do that. Our generation didn't do that. It's not that we were bad. We didn't have access to the technology or the knowledge base that they do, but they have that, and they're going to take advantage of that. And I say, good for you, and I support them 100%. My nonprofit, I don't do anything.
Right.
I'm a bridge between the people that can provide help with the people that need help, and I stand as a conduit to bring them together. It's a beautiful thing.
And we've definitely been seeing you bring people together in your whole journey. You know, I met you as the president of the Democratic Party in Henry County. You know, when we were turning the county blue, things of that nature. You were in that, and we said turn the county blue, and I definitely want to go back to you. We'll go back to your nonprofit after the commercial break. But I remember, I want to talk about the separation. You were talking about the barriers that separate us. 2020, we were talking about turning the county blue. Mm-hmm. Okay, what did that mean? What did that look like? Because what we said, I don't know if that's what it looks like in 2025 today. So tell us, what does that look like? What does that mean? And why won't the youth of tomorrow follow that same path?
An excellent question. So, Henry County had been Republican run, like forever. Okay. And there was a distribution of resources and policy making that tended to favor the people that were in charge.
Okay.
Which circumvented other people within the county, particularly the African American community. So I wanted to see a change, because my belief was, if the Democratic Party stands for all people, if the Democratic Party was the party of Lincoln and Kennedy and Obama and Biden, that party stands for everybody, and the people that are in charge have not necessarily taken that approach.
Right.
So let us focus our energies on putting together a great slate of candidates that we can have run for office.
Okay.
People that can come in, that come from that mindset of that party, that can actually make that difference. And we worked extremely hard. In reality, that effort started, 8 years before that.
Absolutely.
Because
2012.
That's right, because we ran a slate for county commissioners, and they had never had, some of those commissioners had never had a Democrat run against them like ever. Okay. Now, we lost every race.
Okay.
But what we said was, we're not going to sit idle and watch what we perceive is an inequity on how things are being run.
Okay.
So over the course of 8 years, you build up the party, you get people registered to vote.
Mm-hmm.
The demographics of the county absolutely helped, because there was a migration of Democrats and minorities that have come into the county, to the point where we're a majority minority county now. So that also helped make a difference. So in 2020, we just about ran the table. We took the chair, we took the sheriff, we took the commissioners, the judge, the tax commissioner, the DA, who they both had already been in office, but they kept their positions.
Okay.
And essentially, it changed from a Republican-run county to a Democratic-run county.
Okay.
So I was really happy with the role I played in trying to make that happen. And don't get me wrong, the candidates did the lion's share of the work. My job was to help keep everybody organized and moving in the same direction. over the course of the 5 years, there are, I'm a gentleman of very high standards.
Absolutely.
And there is an expectation for a certain amount of governance that I expect to see.
Okay.
And with the caveat that I am a gentleman of very high standards, the governance hasn't necessarily met what I would consider my high standards of what I would like to see.
Right.
Bad practices are bad practices regardless of what party's in charge.
Absolutely.
So I would like to see, and again, I have a very high standard, but I'd like to see, the governance standard, elevated to some extent. Because as a voter and a taxpayer, there's a standard that I'd like to see, and I'd like to see that met. Now, will it be met? I can't necessarily say it will.
Okay.
But as long as the taxpayers of this county feel as though they're being equitably treated,
Right.
then that's fine. I mean, my opinion, I'm just some guy.
Correct.
But as long as the majority of voters feel as though their issues are being addressed and they're being heard as voters,
Okay.
then that's a good thing, and that's fine. So,
Right.
Things like town halls and public discourse, those type of things are important to keep people informed on what's going on, and to get feedback from people on what's important to them. I mean,
That's right.
no action shouldn't be taken that's not a priority of the citizens. I mean,
Correct.
because at the end of the day, they're the ones that put people in positions of power, and they're the ones that pay the taxes that give them the ability to do the work that they want to do. So, it's important to hear from the taxpayers on as often as possible, and to take their comments and even their criticism as feedback.
Okay.
When I hire people, I don't hire yes men or women. I don't want that, because I want people that are willing to say, well, Mike, that ain't necessarily the best idea. And I say, okay, why? And if they've got a really good opinion, then I pivot to that, because at the end of the day, it's all about what's best, not about what's mine. So,
Man, we're gonna have to go to a commercial break. We got Mike Burns, community and college
Partners
program. We gonna talk about that. But we gotta go to a commercial break, because we definitely gotta pay our bills and recognize our sponsors on the show. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. You guys stay tuned. Ease up.
At A New Well, we believe every day should be lived with dignity, comfort, and care. Located in the heart of Stockbridge, Georgia, our adult day center offers a safe, welcoming environment where compassion meets quality service. Whether your loved one needs daily support, engaging activities, or just the warmth of a friendly smile, we're here. At A New Well, we provide high-quality care, either in our beautiful facility at 931 Rock Quarry Road or from the comfort of their own home. Our dedicated team ensures every individual lives life to the fullest. And with Medicare Advantage and other insurance options accepted, peace of mind comes standard. So when you're ready to give your loved one the care they deserve, call A New Well today at 1-800-341-0120. That's 1-800-341-0120. Or visit anewwellinc.com, where care, comfort, and compassion flow together.
Is your baby mama tripping and won't let you see your kid? Don't know how to get your parental rights and want to be in your child's life? The Legit Lawyer is your #1 choice for legitimation, custody, and visitation to help start your journey of having a healthy relationship with your kids. We offer affordable rates and walk with you every step of the way so you can smile again and enjoy quality time with your kids. Our 30-minute free consultation gives you a scope of the tools needed to help you win the battle. At Legit Lawyer, we believe every father deserves the right to be in their child's life and to have a healthy relationship with the ones you love. Call us today at 769-DAD-WINS or visit us online at www.thelegitlawyer.com and let us help you to get legit. #DadsWin.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. We're back. Mr. Mike Burns, community and college partnership partner program. Man, we were talking about that as we were talking about some of your history working as the former president of the Henry County Democratic Party.
Right.
Tell us about the community and the college partner program. Tell us what that's looked like. Tell us how you're taking community in a different direction from just a local level to nationwide, because you're like in Alaska, Louisiana, Florida. I mean, you're all over the place with this thing. Tell us what does that program look like?
So the mission statement is that we provide pro bono technical assistance to poor and underserved communities based on their self-identified interests, regardless of all other factors.
Okay.
So we don't look at white, we don't look at black, we don't look at Hispanic, we don't look at Jewish, we don't look at indigenous, we don't look at Democrat, we don't look at Republican, because in our mind and philosophically, our approach is the real division is the distribution of resources, the equitable distribution of resources. Period.
Okay.
So we help everybody
yes.
that's poor and underserved that asks for help. So, and it's based on what they say they need help with,
Okay.
not what we say.
Right,
Because who are we to tell people what they need?
Correct.
People know what they need. That's what we do. Now, how do we do that? We work with colleges and universities across the country, mostly graduate students, some professors, some seniors,
Okay.
and we make this part of their educational requirements. So for seniors, it may be a senior design project. For master's students, it may be a capstone or practicum project. We've had some doctorate students make that, their doctorate effort. For some professors, they incorporate it as part of their classwork.
Okay.
And we take the issue that the community has, we reach out to our network of 80 plus colleges across the country and say, they need assistance with this particular issue. Can you help them? And they'll say yes.
Okay.
We bring them together. We say, community, this is your issue. Yes. School, you say you can help address this issue. Yes. We identify point of contacts for the community and the school.
Okay.
We identify when the school's going to start, when they're going to finish. They have to give a presentation back to the community, a formal presentation at a town hall meeting, so all the citizens get a chance to ask questions. And they deliver the product they put together. It could be a communications plan, a building design, a health impact assessment. They give that product to the community based on what they said they needed help with. And we ask the community, is there anything else? And if they have their issues, we continue to help them. We are not one and done. I was just talking to the mayor of Navassa, North Carolina, a couple weeks ago. We partnered down with the University of North Carolina in Wilmington. At the time they said, they never helped anybody.
Right.
When I talked to him a couple weeks ago, he said, we were just there 3 days ago talking about what they're going to be doing for us for the spring semester. I said, so you're still working? He said, ever since you put that partnership together, they have provided assistance to us for the last 11 years. So, that's the power of this, and we don't have to get in the way. Once the school established that relationship, they can continue to work with them. But if they finish with that, if the community still needs help, they can come back to us. The people that we helped in Alaska, they've gotten help from University of Florida in Gainesville. They've gotten help from Alabama A&M in Huntsville. They've gotten help from Georgia Tech in Atlanta. I mean, and
what did the help look like in Alaska? Like, what were you guys doing in Alaska? What made the university step forward? Like, what was the crisis happening?
Well, there were some significant issues they had. The housing at the village we work with in Alaska is 50 years old. It was built in California, but it was built with no insulation. So you have people living in homes in Alaska that are heated by electricity. With no insulation. Their electrical bill is $850 a month in the wintertime, and we're talking about winter in Alaska. And the medium income's like $25,000 a year. So they're spending a huge chunk of their money just to heat the building, but the houses are in such poor shape that they're still in coats in their own home and they can only get it to maybe 50 degrees.
Oh, wow.
So they needed, new housing. They needed to rehabilitate stuff that could be rehabilitated. Turns out the University of Florida's got one of the best housing programs in the country. I talked to the people there. I had a point of contact there. I reached out to them. We talked. I said, I'd love for you to be a partner on this. They agreed to do it.
Okay.
They spent 3 trips there working with them, helped them put together a grant application to go after a community change grant that was from the EPA.
Okay.
And they won in collaboration with the university. The tribe won a $20 million grant to build new housing and rehabilitate old housing.
Okay.
So, we have had, we helped there was a African American who used his life savings to buy a brownfield site in West Philadelphia, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Wanted to convert that into an urban farm. One of the challenges he had, the greenhouse that he wanted to build, the electricity was so far from where the building was, he couldn't afford to do that. So we had a school design a solar powered greenhouse for him that allowed him, they actually, not only did they design it, they told him the exact components that were needed, helped identify what was needed, helped put it together for him, and he is using that solar greenhouse now not only to grow vegetables that he shares with the community, but to teach people how to grow vegetables so that they can learn how to be self-sufficient.
Oh, wow. Wow. So how are you finding these communities? Do you guys have like a research team like that say, hey, this is the particular community we're going to help? Because not only did you serve Alaska, but I know you served the indigenous people down, I believe, in Louisiana as well, right?
Yes. We've helped indigenous people in Alaska, in Louisiana, in New Mexico, and some people in New York. Yes.
Okay. And what did it look like helping out in Mexico? I believe I talked to you, and at one point they had like leaky roofs that they couldn't even get fixed.
Yeah, they had there was a law that said because they were on the reservation that if they had a hole in the roof, they couldn't fix the hole in the roof.
Wow.
Which is kind of crazy.
Wow.
That has subsequently been repealed. But I mean, there were a number of projects they were getting ready to put together for them.
Okay.
But at the time, that was during my transition from the government to my nonprofit.
Okay.
And one of the deals that the government told me was, they said, you can't work on any projects in your nonprofit that you started with the government. I said, okay, fine. But one project we did complete that I felt really good about was we designed and helped them construct in Farmington, New Mexico, which is way north in Navajo country, designed a makerspace.
Okay.
But it's not just a makerspace.
Okay.
It's a 2-part makerspace. One part is technical and one part is mechanical.
Okay.
So in the mechanical, they'll use 3D printers and other equipment to actually build stuff that they can do, and the other one, they're doing designs and it's more technology and computer driven.
Okay.
But the problem in Farmington was all the youth were leaving because there was nothing for them there. The makerspace actually gives them the opportunity to take their business ideas, prove that they work, and start their own small businesses there instead of leaving and go somewhere else to do that.
Wow.
And they're using those maker spaces. I know to this day they're still using those. So
and making it happen.
And making it happen for young people, which I was really excited about. So.
Now, what made you say this is what my life's calling to do? Because I know you try to, when you I remember a while back before you went national, you tried to work at a local level. What made you say, I'd rather take my platform from a local level to a national? Were you forced out, or was it just a point where it was like, hey man, I've done all I could do at home, I got to take this to people who need it across the nations?
Well, the whole idea, my grandmother says, sometimes God puts you where you're supposed to be rather than where you thought you were going to be. I didn't think this is what I would be doing for a living. you know, there were a series of events that happened that led me to, you know, go to the EPA, which during the Obama administration, they gave me the latitude to figure out how to make this work, because it took me 18 months to get the first college to agree to do this.
Oh, wow.
But then we had 4, then we had 14 and 35, then 60. Now we've got 85. You know, we've got the Stanfords and the Columbians, but we've got the Alabama A&Ms and the Gramblings. We've got the Purdues and the Georgia Techs. We've got the Georgia States. You know, we've got them all different, you know, public, private, community, all over the country. You know, so, you know, so when I first wanted to start doing this, it was important that the school was close to the community, but then COVID came.
Okay.
So you couldn't go there. It could be a mile away or it could be 1,000 miles away. It doesn't matter. You weren't going there. So
Right.
And when I stopped and thought about it, I said, well, if that's the case, I could be helping anybody, anywhere, with anything.
Correct.
So that's when I had that epiphany and said, well, how come I can't help people in Alaska? How come I can't help people in Mississippi? How come I can't help people in New Mexico and New York?
Okay.
Because if we're doing most of this remote, it doesn't matter where the school is as long as they're providing the assistance. And that's when we said, you know, whoever's got issues, and we partner with other nonprofits and with, you know, state and federal governments, you know, and people hit our website.
Okay.
And we start honoring those requests that came from anywhere, and you know, that's how we ended up in Alaska. It was a big nonprofit that introduced us to the Bahamas, and we've done 4 or 5 sensational projects in the Bahamas. In fact, the project that we did to talk about the impact of limestone mining on the fresh water in the Bahamas and the rest of the ecosystem. We had a professor from California come and brief that not only to their town council, but to a room of about 400 plus people. And it was so powerful that it gave the politicians the ability to push back on people that want to destroy that freshwater source. And it helped support environmental education, you know, that environmental education across the Bahamas. To where now the country has passed for the first time in their 50-year history the first environmental protection legislation that they have ever had. So that's pretty cool.
Definitely pretty cool.
And you know, to know that you played some small part, you know, in helping that happen. We have somebody, a tribal chief in Canada, that we're working with. He's got an AI program to use sounds and phrases to capture tribal language before it disappears from the face of the earth. And I've convinced him, I said, that's not just your tribal language in Canada. That's good for any language or culture on the planet. And I'm talking to him about taking that idea and exporting that and using it in other places. I met somebody from Kazakhstan at a conference. I've got a 3-year agreement with the people in Kazakhstan who want me to come there and do some projects there. So, you know, what we have found, Andrell, is that this works anywhere. And it helps anybody. And I'll go where it goes, and I'll take it where people want it to be. And, you know, I'm honored and humbled. To be able to do
why was it important for you to partner with colleges? I mean, like, I know you've always been in the education system, and I know you've always been in government. Why was it important to utilize the colleges and the research centers and bring the resources from that direction?
Because you had to find a way to provide that assistance to poor communities for free. Because they can't afford to pay for the help, but they need it more than anybody else. So when you can take that need and make the ability to satisfy that need as a part of the educational opportunity or educational program for college students, the college students get their need to do a practicum or a capstone project satisfied.
Yes.
The community gets great technical assistance from some smart college youth that can help them.
Okay.
And both sides benefit. That's why the program continues to work, because there's no losers.
Yes.
The students benefit, the community benefits, and at the end of the day, I'd like to think that we're teaching these college students, because we like for them to go to the place where they're doing the work at least once. We're teaching these college students, they're not so different from you. They just have less resources.
Just less, correct.
So,
You're absolutely correct.
so you know, one of the professor from Columbia,
Okay.
his 16-year-old son came. He emailed me 3 months later. He said, "Mr. Burns, I'd really like to do something for the kids in Mississippi," on his own initiative. 17 years old. He got 40 laptops and some production equipment and created an app to make music. Did a fundraiser to raise funds for his plane ticket and hotel. Went to Jackson and taught 20 high schoolers how to use the app and donated the laptops to them.
Okay.
Then went to rural Mississippi. Not only donated the laptops and showed them how to use it, but they didn't have production equipment, and he actually got the production equipment so they could actually make music too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And that was 2 years ago, and to this day,
Okay.
once a month, he calls and see how that's going. Now that's a white kid, son of a college professor at Columbia University, helping underserved black kids in Jackson and rural Mississippi, but they don't see color.
Yes.
They
yes.
just see, I can help you, and I'm really happy to do that. And the kids are like happy they look at him as their partner.
Right, right.
So if we are helping to lower the barriers
Okay.
between cultures and races and even political parties, that's a good thing, because
Absolutely.
at the end of the day, we say there's only one race really, it's the human race.
Correct.
And we should all be working together to make a difference in the lives for people that need the help the most. And it works because the college kids get this. I got an award from Georgia State University as the Experiential Learning Site of the Year. I didn't get that from the school. I got
Okay.
that from the students.
For the students.
Yes.
Man, awesome, awesome. Now we're gonna go to another commercial break. We got Mike Burns, community and college partner program. I'm loving it. I'm loving the way you're mobilizing the youth. Based on when I met you back in, I believe it was 2016.
Yep.
That's when we became heavy on the course. And pretty much, just to see the way you mobilize in the local community and how you're mobilizing now nationwide, doing the same thing, but eliminating the stereotype.
Yes.
You know, educating the mind, elevating the spirit, eliminating the stereotype. You're doing it in a way where it's helping communities, underserved communities, through college resources who don't have money to pay for, you know, things like just quality of life.
Right.
You guys stay tuned. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. Ease up.
There are no mistakes or regrets in this life, only the opportunity to learn and evolve. Leave your imprint on this earth. In that process, it's a responsibility and calling to aid others where possible. When you've been blessed, you should look to be a blessing. That can take the form of your time and resources. You only have one life to make a difference in others, so why not show up and be great? But not for the sake of yourself, but for a generation of onlookers who are looking to see what's possible. Being a State Farm good neighbor in the community is a privilege that I don't take for granted. My name is Sherry DeVos Denard, and my office is located in the industrial side of McDonough, Georgia. We service all of Georgia and neighboring states Alabama and South Carolina. You can reach us today for all of your auto, home, life, and small business needs at 678-782-3005 or online at sddinsurance.com and on all social media platforms. We look forward to earning your business.
Have you fallen and can't get up? After the car accident, you just don't feel the same. DePaul Clinic is dedicated to help you relieve the pain. We specialize in personal injury setbacks, guiding your journey back to normal. We provide head-to-toe examinations, X-ray, and MRI, treating personal injury with adjustment, non-surgical decompression, and laser therapy. Our pain management specialists pride themselves on helping our patients to a speedy recovery every step of the way. Call us today at 770-471-1421 for booking, or visit us online at www.thepaulclinic.com for more information. Our reviews speak for themselves. The Paul Clinic, the good hands quality care plan.
All right. Yeah, we in the game. All right, Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. We're back. Mr. Mike Burns, Community and College Partner Program, doing the thing, grassroots, working in the community, underprivileged communities, restored by future leaders, future generation leaders of today.
Absolutely.
How did you connect the dots to say, hey, because coming from a local community, South Atlanta, rural metro Atlanta, you know, you're working to mobilize. Henry County was a tough county to turn blue, first and foremost. I have friends who still refuse.
Yes, it was.
Yes, you know, so I
Yes,
commend
it
you
was.
for being the leader, a trailblazer for that. How did you say, you know, go from a local level, seeing how it worked, looking at the results where we are now with what happened over the course of the 10, 12 years that it did happen? What do you see? How did you connect the dots for that happening on a national level, but mobilizing where you took the politics out of it? You took the what I would say community development for real people, almost.
So when you work with underserved communities,
Okay.
They can spot a phony instantaneously.
Mm.
And if you don't approach them with sincerity and honesty,
Okay.
you'll never get anything done.
Okay.
Now, that's who I am as a person, but you had to be willing to display that to people.
Yes.
You had to be willing to be open and honest, not knowing what the outcome was going to be.
Okay.
And that's not easy for people to do if you're not familiar with doing that, particularly with people that you don't know.
Right on.
But as I began to do that, and as I began to, you know, meet different people, because certain people have come into my life because they were attracted to the idea of what I was doing, but they came from different backgrounds and cultures. And because I approached them with openness and honesty, we were able to engage in a dialogue and a conversation and a sharing of knowledge
Okay.
that made me understand that this is much broader than just my community.
Okay.
This is much broader than just my city or my county or my state.
Okay.
This is much broader, quite frankly, than even my country.
Okay.
You know, this is something that appeals across the board.
Right.
But you only discovered that when you met people from different places and different cultures and different
Yes.
areas, and they said to you, wow, that's really cool, X. So I had a chance, I was invited to go to speak to some young South Asian leaders as part of a UN effort at Kennesaw State.
Okay.
And I told them about the program, and, you know, we talked, and I got a bunch of emails afterwards that they said, we would love for you to come to Vietnam and do this, because this is a program that would really help here. Now, they're literally from the other side of the world.
Vietnam.
They're from the other side of the world, but it made sense to them.
Okay.
You know, I was at a conference at Rutgers, and I was sitting beside the gentleman from Canada,
Okay.
and I did my presentation, and we were talking, we were saying, and he said at one point, they said, well, do you want to go? He said, no, he said, I'm talking to my new friend here, Mike Burns. And I'm like, oh, we're friends now? He said, absolutely. So he's a tribal chief from Northwest Canada.
Okay.
As different culturally as it's possible to be.
Yes.
But we have so many things in common.
Right.
And I started to realize that it is that commonality that is much more important than the difference.
Absolutely.
And when you begin to see what we all have in common, then the geographic boundaries and the racial boundaries and the political party boundaries, all those begin to fade away.
Okay.
And you begin to understand that this is something that brings people together regardless of walk of life, geography, religion or whatever. I mean, like I said, I got, white kids from Columbia, Mississippi. I get people from Florida in Alaska. I got people from Purdue University in the Midwest helping people in Louisiana. I mean, it's, the professor from California did work in a presentation in the Bahamas.
Right.
Doesn't matter. I mean, because we all have so much more in common. So it's an epiphany that you come to when you have the opportunity to understand that being open and honest is not a negative, it's a plus.
Okay.
Because it allows you to find and share the commonality in people regardless of where they're from and who they are.
Right.
I consider myself blessed for that.
Based on resources and need, not race.
Right.
Religion.
I mean, it's like the issues I spoke about earlier. I mean, those 8 things I mentioned, we all agree with that. I mean,
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter if you're in Alaska or, Timbuktu. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You're in Vietnam or Canada. Those are common issues for everybody. So the blessing has been to understand the commonality amongst people, and it has helped eliminate those other barriers that traditionally separate people.
Now, we're in a climate right now where Project 2025, the era of Trump, the era of where people seem to be the most boisterous, the most walk with their chest out, black this, white this. How are you diversifying through that in this climate? Because in this climate, it's hard to kind of like take race and take all those other elements out because the media pushes it so hard.
There is a beauty in everybody getting equally screwed. So I mean, Hispanic people in Florida, they're feeling it.
Okay.
White soybean farmers in the Midwest, they're feeling it.
Okay.
African Americans in the Southeast or wherever they're at, they're feeling it.
They're feeling it.
Everybody is getting the short end of a stick somewhere, unless you are in that economic strata that tends to benefit from the decisions that are being made the most.
Okay.
So at a time when everybody is being made to feel the pain, at a time when we can give $40 billion to a country in South America, but we couldn't spend $8 billion feeding 42 million Americans. I mean, when everybody is getting treated poorly, there is no better time for us all to come together and to understand that we are the power.
Correct.
We have the ability to create change. Change has always come in this country.
Correct.
From the outside in. It's never from the inside out.
Okay.
So we should be coming together, and I try to share those things we have in common.
Right.
I share those wherever I go, and I get people to understand at the end of the day, we are too much alike to be arguing amongst ourselves.
Yeah.
We should all be coming together as a group, particularly now that everybody is feeling the pain.
Yeah.
why are we not coming together and saying, if we're all feeling the pain, that's a common pain that we all should be working together to help eliminate.
Well, how do you think capitalism plays in that? Because you can have, I mean, we just saw it. We just saw it. Sheriff Reginald Scandrett, Shaquille O'Neal, food giveaway, Grace Baptist Church, line wrapped around the corner for almost 2 miles. White, black, Hispanic, Puerto Rican. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's almost like one group of people can be like, they're getting a box of food, and another group, and they feel grateful for it. And then the other group is like, we're getting a box of food because we deserve this, and we shun upon you, and you are poorer than us. And it's I mean, it's not like we're in the battle together.
Well, but it just, if you're at the front of the EBT line and you're in the back of the EBT line, guess what? You're all in the same line. I mean, it doesn't matter in the end.
Correct.
So it's just, it's how you communicate with people.
Okay.
And I think that you have to be able to be willing to listen, and you have to be open and honest, but you have to communicate to people in a way that they understand.
Okay.
So, for example, the 2 coastal communities we're working on with projects.
Okay.
I wanted to talk to them about, developing a strategic relocation plan. And the stakeholders are like, well, Mike, the community really doesn't want to hear that. And I said, it's the reality.
Right.
I said, but it's how you phrase it that makes a difference.
Right.
So when I stood in front of the communities and talked to them about that, I said, let me explain it to you this way.
Right.
Wouldn't you rather have a plan and not need it than need a plan and not have it? And they said, well, that makes sense. Yeah, so let's put that plan together.
Correct.
So God forbid that day come that you may actually need it. It's already put together and you don't have to worry about that. And they were like, yeah. And so afterwards people said, well, that was a good way of putting it. I said, you have to be able to communicate in a way that people understand what you're saying from their perspective.
Correct.
I said, that's something, my father taught me when I was a kid. He said, if you can't communicate the same message to a prince that you would convey to a pauper, you don't know how to communicate.
That's exactly.
And so when we talk about all those people feeling those different things,
okay,
it's all in how you communicate with people, and I'm trying to get people to understand, and I convey this message to the students.
okay,
Don't communicate based on what you know. Communicate based on what they understand. And you can only do that if you listen. So, and they start to understand that. So, but when it comes to capitalism, most things have a logical conclusion.
okay.
And I think for capitalism, we are close to the end game for capitalism. Because if you think about capitalism as a philosophy and as a ongoing enterprise, the end game of capitalism is a few people have all the resources,
Okay.
and all the rest of people don't have any resources.
Right.
We're almost at the end game of that. So
Okay.
there has to be some other system that comes along that works better than capitalism. I don't know what that is, but I do know this. I trust the young people
Okay.
who are going to live in a world that's impacted by this tremendous inequity in the distribution of resources. I trust their ability to sit down amongst themselves and figure out something that will be more long-lasting than the way things are being done now.
No.
So,
I definitely respect that. I want to. Do you think slavery still exists in 2025? From when I ask you that, because I know, I know. In going to these different countries and going to the different parameters and the things, and like you say, capitalism, we're near the end of that, right? Capitalism was one of the greatest assets of slavery. You know, tell us how that plays into it, because it seems as though we're still in a modern day slave plantation going on. You know, so where like you say, the resources are over here, way over here, and the people who are at the bottom are the people who the numbers. They're just being spoon fed the slop. So and not able to rise up like we probably should.
We have morphed. For the most part, not completely, but for the most part, we have morphed from slavery of the body to slavery of the mind.
Okay.
People, if you don't think you can ever move ahead,
Okay.
you are a slave to whatever resources that are handed out to you that you receive.
Gotcha.
So the way that this is why things like getting rid of the Department of Education and the way that we fund education, which I think is horrific, because because a rich county has good schools and a poor county has bad schools because of the tax base.
Okay.
But we should be educating kids equally.
Correct. I agree.
Because there's a kid out there that can solve climate change. The question is, did we equip that child with the resources they need to understand their potential and fulfill it in a way that it benefits society? In too many cases, the answer is no. Because we don't do it right. So that's why getting rid of things like the Department of Education is so insidious and so dangerous, because you're essentially taking away their ability to critically think. So when you take that away, you've removed their ability to think beyond what's in front of them, and you've essentially enslaved their mind into where they only see that small minute part. It's interesting that at a time when human beings have more access to information than they have ever had in the history of the earth.
Gotcha.
We are more fractured and divided than we have ever been. And that is because people tend to look at what they like instead of being willing to look at or listen to what they don't know or what they don't like.
Right.
That's the beauty of me being in the program I am, because I have to go to the communities I don't know anything about, and I've got to sit and listen to what's going on.
And your safety is on the line.
Absolutely, and I have to essentially be willing to put myself out there.
Correct.
But what I have received in return, there is no dollar that will equal what I have gotten spiritually. By doing the work that I've done. So, you have to be able to understand that when slavery is of the mind, that captures or confines the spirit, and people can never move forward. So, and a lot of that has to do with the distribution and the equity of resources. That's why that's so important. So, it's the things like, they talk about, in 2025 getting rid of, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Well, they also talk about getting rid of, I forget what they call it, essentially the history of slavery, where they don't want all of American history taught, just a part of American history that appeals to a certain group of people. Well, you can't do that. I can remember when I was a superintendent of the Selma to Montgomery Trail in Alabama, and we had these way signs that showed graphically people getting beat, people getting killed, and people that worked for me said, "Oh my God, we can't put these up." I said, "Why? That's what happened. When you deny people to understand how horrific history was, then you deny people the opportunity to move past that into a better place. You can't remove that from them. So, you have to show that. So, and we have failed to allow, particularly our young people, to be able to do that, and That's why, on the educational side of things, that's why it's so important, when these kids go to these communities, because they begin to understand they're not any worse or better than I am. I just got a better education. I live in a better house.
Correct.
So, I like to think that we're planting seeds, and when that kid becomes a CEO or CFO or run their own business, they'll understand that race and culture didn't matter as much as the quality of the person, and that they can act accordingly. Is that a long road to hoe? And will that happen overnight? It won't happen in my lifetime, but it'll never happen if we don't strive for it.
Correct, correct.
Like I said, Andrew, it took me 18 months to get to First College to agree to my program. I got so discouraged. I went to somebody and I said, this will never work. And they said, no, it will never work if you don't continue to try. I said, okay. And I just continued to hang in there. 18 months of making cold calls. They were all cold calls, asking people to do this.
Wow.
And in the end, it was a little school in Tifton, Georgia, that was the first school that agreed to do it.
Wow.
Wow. So, and now we've got now we've got schools, like I said, Stanford's getting ready to do a project in the Bahamas to design solar-powered water pumps for small farmers that the agricultural people in the Bahamas said will increase their agricultural yield by 50% in a country that imports 90% of their food. That's a game changer.
That's a game changer, man.
So, but they went to Andros and they actually stayed on campus at a school in the Bahamas with the students. So they ate where the students ate, and they went to the farm, and they walked away with such a positive feeling about that experience. We're doing more than just creating projects for people.
Right.
We're changing the minds of these kids, and at the same time, I remember what a young girl in Alaska told me when we were at different tables talking about the project. She's 13, 14. She came up to me. She said, "You give us hope." I told her, I said, I won't get any accolade greater than that. Because when you give communities hope, when they believe they can move forward, they will move forward. That's the same thing with people. When you give people hope and they believe they can move forward, they can move forward. No one thought this county would change. When we started in 2012, no one thought this county would be blue, ever.
Right.
And I remember after the first time we ran a full slate of candidates and we got our butts kicked across the board, a very good friend of mine, Bruce Holmes, came up to me afterwards and said, "You have Republicans thinking about changing party because they never thought that the Democrats would actually run." He said, "You have no idea that you didn't lose, you just got started." And I said, okay, and we hung in there, and 8 years later, we ran the table. People don't believe change is possible until you actually work for it. People don't think you can change the hearts and minds until you actually work for it. You gotta be able to commit to it, stick with it, and know that your intentions are pure and your heart is good and what you want to do is a positive thing. And if you stick with it, then eventually you'll get there. You'll make the change that you want to make, even when you don't realize it. It's like the mayor in North Carolina told me. I had no clue. 11 years later, they were still working with that college. I had no clue, but it wouldn't have happened if we hadn't have put that initial collaboration together.
I want to thank you for taking the time out for coming on our show today, Mr. Burns. I know you're busy. I know you're a busy man. We had to reschedule a couple of times, but it's okay. I'm glad we got the chance to sit down with you and go over some things and just share the story of a journey of community and college partner programs going. How can we find out more about your program online? Where can we find more?
C2P2works.com. That's the website. I encourage people to take a look at that. We also, C2P2 Works has a site on LinkedIn, and we're also on Facebook too. So, and we will, matter of fact, I was looking at that. I've got videos from Alaska, I've got like 4 or 5 different videos that we're getting ready to post online and on the website. So people can see. But C2P2works.com, we've got our information there. Talk about our projects, talk about our mission. I encourage people to go to the website, and hey, if you're a community in need of assistance, please feel free to give us a holler.
Man, shout out to Mike Burns and Community and College Partners Program. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast with Change Starts with Conversation. Love to give a shout out to Culturistic Kitchen, featured on the fall 2025 fall edition cover of Game Changers Magazine. Shout out to A New Well, featured on the 10-year anniversary cover of Game Changers Magazine. District Attorney Darius Patello, Power Moves Initiative, serving the youth. Power Moves Make One program, serving over 6 schools in Henry County. I also would like to give another shout out to Mayor-elect Jaden Williams, City of Stockbridge, global game changer right here in our local community, doing this thing. This is what Change Starts with Conversation, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for tuning in.
Justice and peace and equality. Now the world they will see. That's why.